What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Refinement's morning mastermind call. We do this every day at 6 in the morning, Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time. Today, we're going to talk about setbacks in your business and how to prepare for them and adjust if things don't happen to plan. So, the number one thing is you don't reach your listing goal. This is the number one thing that we want to prevent. So everyone in the group, I like doing business with people who keep score. We have Jessica and her family are going for 300 items per week. Very clear. We have Matt in the group going for 400. I'm going for 200. So that's the North Star, right? This is the goal that needs to happen each week. Now, the thing is, I haven't had 1 week so far that's been the same as the previous week because I'm selling unique items. So the flow is always going to be different. I would say the top thing that prevents us from making it reaching our goal. The number one thing is not having enough inventory. That would be reason number one for people, especially people who are just getting started, or inventory that's not profitable enough. So let's say you're hoping for, myself is $20, some people is $10 minimum profit. If you don't have enough items that meet that threshold, what do you do? So you definitely, one, we're going to talk about setbacks. Two, what can we do to fix that? If you guys have issues in the chat, let us know. So Michelle is saying that she sets her goals in monetary value instead of number of items. I think everyone should also do that. I think it's both, because if you, as a preemptive thing, let's say that you, my personal goal is to list $800 profit per day. If I have one item that's $800 profit, I shouldn't take the day off, because there's going to be some days that I don't have that inventory. That's why I have both goals. So you should probably have both. But number one is, I'd say one thing you can do to prevent that is backup inventory. And I think that is going to be no more than 2 weeks of backup inventory. In my opinion, in a perfect lean operation, you don't have any backup inventory. That's a perfect world, though, and very uncommon for exactly what you list to show up each week. That's extremely rare. The most stable companies that I see have a little bit of a backlog. I don't think you'd want, it's not really possible to have exactly the amount of items come in. Toyota does that, but they sell replenishable products, the same cars over and over again. So cars come, they're unloaded, those parts are made in the cars, they're shipped out. There's not even trash cans in that factory, right? That's the ultimate. Stuff comes in, built, goes out. For us, the backup inventory, I want to say, when I look at consignment operations, they have the backup inventory. They have a room full of stuff that's being processed. So when you send stuff into them, it says this can take 4 to 6 weeks to list. We've got a bit of a backlog. Those companies are pretty stable. So that is one. But if you're going to go thrifting, that's challenging. Maybe Matt can speak on this in a moment. Matt, can you step outside for a moment, or do you want to wait towards later in the call? He's going to hop outside so we can get an idea.
All right. I don't know if my internet is caught back up yet or not.
Yeah, your internet is great. So the idea is, I'm looking at, you want 400 per week, 400 items per week. What happens if you don't have 400? Are you thinking about having a backlog of a few hundred just in case you can't find any? How do you approach this problem?
Yeah, 1 full week would be nice. Right now, I got about 100 pairs of pants left. So I got to go source them before the week's over.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be nice to have maybe 400
in backup.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe some lots. We had talked about this. Some purchasing some larger lots, and then also the you had mentioned donation boxes, but that's a longer process. Yeah, and you got your container. That's awesome.
Yep, we got me a container yesterday.
Was it
Now,
affordable?
yeah, I could afford it. Now I just got to figure out how to put shelves in it because you can't really screw to the walls or anything. It's just a big metal box.
I got
You
you.
know,
Over there. Nice. Is it? Did you measure the actual floor? What is the actual ground space?
um,
10
hang
foot.
on. So there's no echo. It's 9 feet tall. It's a high cube, and it's 92 inches wide of floor space.
What we
So
did was when we made our counters or our shelves and our workbenches, we bolted everything to the floor. And then up in the top corners, if you've got like little loops that are already pre-welded to the ceiling, we would take like wiring from wired clothes hangers or wires and things of that nature, drill holes into the back of the cabinets, run the wires through the cabinets, and then secure them to those loops that are hanging from the corners and the tops of the container to hold the high shelves up.
do you
Unfortunately, most
want
of
to
my shelves were built by my father 25 years ago, and they're 20
do
foot
you
high. So that's why I was telling you yesterday to make them sectional, because when you get 20 foot high cabinets, they're a pain in the butt to get moved around, especially with trailers and places to put them and everything else.
would you want to do shelves with wheels, Matt?
That would be nice, but I feel like it. Let me step away from the container. I hear an echo.
Okay.
But that would be nice, but I feel like I'd be wasting a lot of space because it's not going to be perfectly conformed to the space that I have, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, 9 foot ceilings is pretty low in the sense that it probably wouldn't tip over. Um,
Yeah, I was thinking about I don't know if they make these or not, but I was thinking, you know how casters have locks on them?
mhm.
Well, think about like a step stool on casters, and then you have one bar that you can press down with your foot as a step going onto the top step, and that bar locks all four of your casters down.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
I think they have that with it's a bar that you can press down that locks the
Oh, okay.
four wheels. That's Tino the Soul Advisor has one with it's like a cage, so you can't fall out of it. Because that would be a nightmare. That would basically end your business if one of your employees fell. You're done. So like the cage prevents them from falling out of the cage, and then the bar on top locks it. I think those are pretty common.
Okay.
But
That's a sweet container, man.
I like the 9 foot high. I didn't realize they were that high. But
Yeah, they're real tall.
92 inches is not even 8 feet.
Yeah, it's
So,
not.
but that's enough room for one row of shelves on each side, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, my boxes are 1 foot by 1 foot by 15 inches tall. So
1 foot by
that's
one
going to
foot by
give me
15. Okay.
six
Right.
high by conservatively 36 deep.
Are you
Six
going to put
high
your
and
workbench in there too?
No, this is just storage.
Just strictly storage? Nice. I made mine. I put a workbench in mine and made it a workroom, and filled it full of shelves. And you can run shelves right down the middle of it and have plenty of room on either side to walk and load stuff in as well if you run out of room.
7 by it's 92 inches by 36 feet long.
Well, it's 40 feet long, but I was thinking 36 of
Usable
the
space.
boxes that I use. And
Oh, I see.
7 pairs of pants fit in a box. So 36 times 6 on one side, and then maybe 34 times 6 on the other side, because you got to have one side to walk in, you know.
Right, 34 by 6. So what is that? That's how many
Like
pants is that?
that's like over 3,000 pairs of pants just on the walls.
I love it.
And then the middle, I don't know what to do about the middle yet. I can't put a double wide shelf, you know, you know how I got one on one wall, one on the other wall. I can't have a double in the middle because then that won't leave enough shoulder space for the aisles to walk down, you know, because it's only 92 wide.
So we have a couple questions in the chat. Any concerns about mold with an outside container? Is it waterproof? Are you taking any precautions to keep your inventory dry?
It's pretty waterproof. It's got
Okay.
seals around the doors and all.
Matt, just another suggestion for you sometime here in the next year, I would say, get some of that black tar that's like you roll across the top of your roof and people put on mobile homes and motor coaches and stuff. Go ahead and re-roll that entire roof with it. That way you don't ever have any leaks, because when they show up in amounts of more than 5 or 6 and in a lot of different spots, and they're hard to track down.
What about lighting, Matt?
Oh yeah, I was gonna get a like a 100-foot long LED strip and just run it all the way down and then all the way back.
And then run an extension cord to it?
Yeah, just super redneck it. Yeah, just have an extension cord laying on the ground out here.
Michelle was asking about solar. I think that wouldn't be too crazy if you had a solar setup. That's
A
fairly
lot of trees,
inexpensive. Hmm?
a lot of foliage out here.
That's true. Wait, can I ask what your electricity bill is each month?
Like 40 or 50 bucks.
Okay. Not too bad, but that's only, I mean, I think you could get away with, the way I kind of look at solar is it's like $1,000 for $10 a month savings. So with the $4,000 system, you would have no electricity bill theoretically, if you could put it not in the foliage where you're at right now.
This isn't a long-term solution anyway. I'm not going to be here for a really long time. Maximum another year and a half, maybe.
Here's another question. A couple questions, a lot of questions for you, Matt. Do you pre-bag your pants?
Yes.
Okay.
It goes from photos to me describing on the computer, and then I fold them, put them in a bag, put them in a box, and then the box goes away.
What state are you in?
North Carolina.
You close to the ocean?
Well, I'm close enough for my soil to be sandy, but
I
not
would
close
get
enough to drive.
I would get a couple of small dehumidifiers and put in there to keep the pants from molding. I had an issue with important papers where I had them sealed every which way possible, and still somehow moisture seemed to find them after a period of time. And dehumidifiers would have saved me a lot of throwing records out.
Okay.
You can get them pretty cheap too, used at the Goodwill or whatever, and just throw one in one corner and one in the other, and that'll help keep some of your moisture down. Those floors seem to soak in. You got the wooden slats on the floors. Yeah. Those floors, they seem to hold moisture, and once they get wet, that moisture never gets out, and you'll be replacing strips of floor here and there, but that's not that expensive and it's not that big a deal. As long as you don't have a cabinet sitting on it. I'd put something underneath the bottoms of your shelves to keep them raised a minor amount above the floor, because anything sitting on that floor flush after a period of time will draw moisture up from the ground, and it will beat up on the bottom of the underside of the floor and cause that floor to rot out. And then you're moving a cabinet and replacing the floor and then putting the cabinet back. And found that out the hard way. Went to move a cabinet and followed the rot, and rot ended up running from one end to the other.
Do you have extreme temperature changes, Matt? Is it mild?
I don't know. The winter gets down to maybe 20 at the worst, and the summer gets up to like 110.
Yeah, he's got some pretty extreme temperatures up there. You up in the mountains, or are you in the foothills?
No, I'm in the Piedmont.
Oh, nice. Man, that's beautiful country up there.
Yep.
I'm one state below you on the coast.
Oh yeah.
I like the solar container. Yeah, also people who are considering that, Teresa in the group, she sells shipping containers. Although Matt did bring up the point that the cost of shipping the shipping containers is pretty significant. So getting one locally is probably what makes sense. But let's go to Jessica. Jessica, good morning. How are you guys planning on having handling running out of inventory, which just happened to you?
Look, Joe's like, I want to talk.
You can talk.
No, go for it.
I think for us, with what we buy, obviously with the pallets, it's very easy to have a large amount of inventory with that, but that's not really like, those are, the high margin items that we have that, with the lower sell-through rate that we talked about this last week, that those typically will sell, every 2 months. Our main focus, our bread and butter is the smartphones, digital cameras, GPSs, and tablets. Cell phones, I can get a pretty consistent supply of those, and I could have as many as I want, but the margins are going to be obviously lower. So in order to maintain the margins that we want for those, sometimes I may be able to purchase like 300 units in 1 week, and then the next week I may only be able to get 75 units. And then the same thing with like digital cameras and GPSs, just depending on how much was introduced to the supply chain at that time, kind of dictates those prices. So yes, we are more selective with what we are wanting to reach as far as, our profit margin per item. So for us, I feel like we are probably going to have really a 3-week supply of those items on hand, so that we can work through those lulls where they may not have inventory at the price that we want for that week. And then, because that will, this week, it's like just this week's been a lot of challenges with just all kinds of challenges, but, we weren't anticipating a lot of cameras to be delayed. Like they should have been here the end of last week, and we still don't even have them yet. So, but as we work towards having the amount of inventory on hand that we need that's backlogged for us, like that's going to be the ideal scenario to be able to hit the profit margins that we want. Obviously, we could buy, I could buy 500 of those every single week, but the margins are going to be smaller.
That's very true. If you start buying really large, then it's like the industry terms like chasing pennies, right? You get to the point where there's only so much good inventory each week anyway. Can you really go that heavy? Probably not. So I like that idea, and I like the idea of not having more than 2 weeks of
Right.
inventory that can build up quickly.
I see Matt's camera's offline. Matt, are you still here?
He's there. He's working with his employee. Go ahead. Wow, you have one too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've had one for about 15 years. Mine's all wired. I've got breaker boxes and fluorescent lighting.
Huh.
I've got a little room built back in the back. And those are some of the cabinets I told you. Those are some of the shorter ones. When my father built a cabinet, man, he built a cabinet. Those things have been around for 30 years, and we still have trouble moving them around and going from place to place.
That's like the size of my apartment right there.
But there's some of the stuff that I was telling you about that just kind of shows up along the floor, and you don't expect it. And when it does, they're moving cabinets and putting in flooring, and it becomes an enormous pain in the butt. So if you leave everything raised by a quarter of an inch, eighth of an inch above the floor, so you get air under it, it will stay dry. And mine's even sitting on a concrete pad. So when I put it there, I thought, well, the bottom will never rot. It'll be great. Wrong. Doesn't work that way. It somehow the moisture gets caught on the bottom of the container, and it just rots that floor out. It's just cheap wood anyway. It's not really even top of the line wood.
That's crazy. This like after visiting Arizona, because I never visit rural places. I just go to I just visit cities for travel. But looking at how cheap space is, like there's a gentleman in the group that has 6,000 square feet and pays $1,000 a month. Right? That's so cheap. That's obscene to me. It's like it's literally 10 times cheaper. So, you can park, you could park a tractor trailer inside You know, it's like very cool, very different.
What's crazy is that's not even where I keep all my inventory and stuff. This is my inventory room.
Mm. How long have you been doing this, Dwayne?
Since April.
You have a lot of stuff. You have a lot of organization to do. That looks crazy to me.
Actually, it's all organized, inventoried. It's all in its own bins. I can pretty much close my eyes and sell something, walk in there and put my hand on whatever it is I've sold and know what I'm grabbing and head for the pack. And
Could somebody else do it?
I designed it that way because I just had that hernia surgery last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that I can't pick up a lot of
No,
certain items and heavier items. So I
could
set it up so
somebody
that I
could
can tell my
somebody
roommate,
else
okay,
find
I sold this, go to this spot and grab it and wrap it.
could somebody else find the item is my question.
Yes. Yeah, I have it inventoried in the program that I use where I do my listing and stuff. They have an inventory program tied in, and I have it all tied in together. I just, when it sells, I pop it up and I can see where it is and tell somebody to go get it and pack it and everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Following your advice, I should have started item 1, which I did not do. So I've re-inventoried like 4 times, but following your advice and Steve's advice, once I got to a certain point and I saw it continuing to grow, I went, yep, no, this is going to get way out of control. Let me do what Chris says. Let me do what Steve says. Let's just get an inventory rolling now. And once I did, I just flowed with it.
I like this concept because, or I mean, I want to highlight this in the chat, which is the idea of less but better inventory. I agree with this. Like eventually you want to move from selling used goods to more and more expensive stuff and having less and less inventory, because just by the law of the cheaper it is, the more competition it is, the faster the margins can go away. But if you're selling expensive stuff, like it's just the concept of always less and less inventory, but better. That's not easy, but Barlight said that great sellers always have sourcing problems. I don't know. I mostly agree with that. I think that no matter what level of reseller you are, you're always improving your sourcing. But after you have, like, in the grand picture, a few hundred items a week, under 1,000 items a week is not hard to find after a couple of years of reselling. It's just it depends on your niche.
Yeah. And I mean, like I was telling you the other day, even though I know you disagreed when I told you I was going to try and stay away from heavier items, I didn't mean that I'm going to refuse to sell them. I just meant I'm not going to actively seek heavier items to sell, even though I know you can make more money off of them and everything. But the odd boxes and the weight and the shipping all take way more time than would say like I was telling you, those little houses that I buy. I found the place that made them went out of business, but they're everywhere in Charleston. So I can go and buy a box of 400 of them for $200, and they're only 5 inches by 5 inches and a ½ inch thick, and they weigh less than a pound. So I can go buy 600 of them, different variations, and still basically be selling the same thing, same weight, and not have to worry about extra boxes and heavy things and all of that. That has made selling for me a lot easier. It's trying to streamline, like you have mentioned several times, by selling the same thing over and over again. It also allows you to build templates for certain things. That way, when you go to list, you can just pop up your template, change some information, put in your pictures, and off it goes, and off you go doing something else.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the number one hack, is selling similar items. Jessica, you've had 2 compliments now on your hair.
My hair is awesome.
It is
a lot of work, but it's awesome.
I would like it if it had a couple of orange streaks in it.
It's just so much work when you have to dye it, keep it all one color.
Yeah, that's the Clemson fan in me. Sorry, a college football fan.
I love it. So Mickey mentioned in the chat that they're sourcing from the UK, and they just picked up thousands of pairs in one deal of jeans. So it does make sense to source in an area where it's a little confusing, because I feel like you want to source where it's saturated and then resell where it's not saturated. So I don't fully understand the where they're getting it from or how they're arbitraging it, but you want to go somewhere where it's easy to get, sell somewhere where it's not.
this is more of stubborn thinking, I guess, but
That's right.
I have learned, I am in the mindset that if I put my mind to it and work on the product that I'm trying to sell, I can virtually sell just about anything. So I don't let anything stop me. When I have something that's got a ton of customers, but I like it and it's an item I really want to sell, I go get it anyway and just compete. I mean, I feel like I'm as good a seller as anybody out there. And if it's going to sell, then I'm going to be the one to sell it. I don't let competition, things of that nature, make up my mind as to what I'm selling. If it's something I want and I want to get involved in it, I get involved in it. I mean, yeah, some of it's harder than others and it doesn't sell quite as fast, but you learn.
Mm-hmm.
You learn, and you either learn not to do it or to do it. And either way, lesson learned and another notch in the belt and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Which is this group is great for that. I found the couple of days I've been involved so far is just the ideas passing back and forth. You learn what not to do and what you really don't want to mess with, especially if you watch somebody go through their process. Once you see somebody go through their process and see 2 or 3 things you don't like, you get the idea of what you do and what you don't want to be dealing with.
So Mickey is mentioning exactly what I was confused about, which was if the market is less saturated than the UK, that would mean you source from the US and sell in the UK, which is exactly what they're doing. So like here, it's not. I mean, reselling is the most popular side hustle in the United States. That means everyone is doing it, which means it's more competitive. In the UK, though, maybe not. Maybe it's not as popular as here. So if you were sourcing from Asia or the US and then reselling in the UK, might be great. I think Zahir is also in the UK. So he is saying that it used to be a great market for vintage RC parts, but now sales have died. It's I don't I talk about the 10 by 10 by 10 model, having 10 products that sell 10 times a day for $10 profit. And I only know one person in real life that has pulled that off. And Prince has 97 products that he's constantly monitoring. And the items that do sell 10 times a day sometimes sell 0. Right? So it's not like it's some magical thing that sells the same every single day. Like they still bounce up and down. Mickey is selling 30 pairs of jeans a day and sometimes 40 or 50 on the weekend. Awesome value. Michelle's asking you, Dwayne, do you have a specific goal each week, amount of items or profit? Have you set that up yet?
Well, I'm still working on the same goal I started with, which is to make a couple of $1,000s a month and not have to go back to full-time work. I haven't achieved it yet, but I'm working my way there. And as far as items go, I don't have a limit on items. I mean, if I'll sell whatever, as long as it's worth it and a quality item, I'll sell it. And not heavy or bulky like stereo equipment.
Kevin is the one that we reviewed Kevin's store last night on the live. He was selling the Littlest Pet Shop items, and amongst other things in his store. And he says that it's very unpopular in France. That makes sense. We looked at those lots. Somebody in the chat is saying a way to increase your average sale price is to add lots, and that makes sense. It is a form of passive upselling. I totally agree with that. And that person had sold over 100,000 different lots of Littlest Pet Shop. Random pack of 7, random pack of 4, random pack of 10. And I assume those random packs are the exact size of what's the shipping advantage, right? Like under 1 pound, padded flat rate, medium flat rate box. They probably figured out how many toys they could jam into that and made a new replenishable.
Do you have any kind of a formula that you use to come up with the amount that you put in the lot, the weight that you put in the lot, what you're going to put in there? So I mean,
100%.
I have a few things that just don't sell individually, and I want to just combine them all into one lot and sell them. But obviously, that's not going to work. You have to have some sort of formula and plan to make it right.
Yeah, you want under 16 ounces. Under 16 ounces, you want, what fits in a padded flat rate envelope. My favorite one is a 12 by 15 envelope for cubic shipping. 12 by 15 is 0.3 cubic feet. That is, in my opinion, that is the biggest hack because I can ship a 30-pound item from California to New York for $8.25. I wonder if people in the UK have that kind of advantage. I don't know. I should have Zahir pop in or somebody from the UK hop on and explain how the UK shipping works. I'm sure they have different tiers as well. I know in Australia, it's either 1 pound or 4 pounds. They have like a unique situation like that. So it's like if it's 1 pound, 1 ounce, it's sometimes ships for the same as 4 pounds. So it's like boots would sell for the same as a jacket. I mean, ship for the same as a jacket. So I don't know. I think that the post office needs to be more creative, and eBay needs to subsidize it. Because if eBay said, okay, we have the eBay box, anything that fits inside the eBay box ships for $10, that'd make it a lot easier for you, Dwayne, because you could just instead of figuring out what I just told you, which is takes a long time, you could just see what fits in that box.
Yeah, the shipping sizes with the United States Postal Service are crazy. They wonder why they have so much trouble with their finances. I mean, if you've got a box you're shipping for $20, it's 12 by 12 by 12, and in a box that's 12.5 by 12.5 by 7, and you're going to charge $70 for that box. It's kind of a no-brainer as to why you're going out of business. People get tired of dealing with all the extra paperwork and all the extra measuring and wondering. And I mean,
Yeah,
you reach
it's
over and grab a
challenging.
box that you think is a certain size, you fill that box, look on the side of it, and oh, nope, it's not a flat rate box. It's a mailing box, and it's going to cost you $30 more to ship. Here we go packing again. So I have a friend that works at the post office. I tried to talk him into doing a YouTube channel and just doing shipping with the United States Postal Service, but the Postal Service has a conflict of interest waiver and contract against it. That's one of the things I was talking when I was telling you about getting a networking group together. That's one of the things I was thinking about maybe including in the network group is somebody that works at the post office that does postage, somebody that knows Facebook marketing, somebody that knows Instagram marketing. That way, all those people in that networking group could tie together and infuse ideas from their different specialty that would help one another out along the way, as opposed to having everybody that sells clothes all in one group, so that everybody's talking clothes all day. And you get different points of view, different ideas, different tricks that they learn. You know, this guy's been working in the post office 20 years. There's got to be a million tricks he's seen and learned just along the way.
Yep.
That's something I see the value in networking groups for. Did you guys sell electronics, right?
Jessica does, yeah.
Jessica, I want to get your information before we go. You do standalone cameras and those sorts of things?
Yeah, we do GPSs, digital cameras, basic consumer electronics. I mean, if it plugs in, we'll try and sell it.
I want to try and get some info from you through Chris, because
Right.
I'm looking to put like a 5-camera system with a hard drive set up out here. And I prefer dealing with people that I know as opposed to just going on and finding something.
All
So
right.
I'd like to look into it with you and see what we can come up with.
Dwayne, you make a good point, or not a good point, but another point on if you are known for selling something, then people will just buy stuff from you. You know, that's extremely common. Like as an example, one of the reasons Prince chose GoPros is because he wants to do some YouTube. And like every YouTuber should probably have a GoPro. You should have one. So like if you're in that niche, it's nice that the people you hang out with could actually support you. But if you have a random garage sale store, your friends can't really buy stuff from you unless they're like, I need a new alarm clock. Did you pick one up last week? You know, like it's very random. It's very hard to find it.
I haven't even been able to really hit garage sales and stuff yet. As soon as I started telling people I was going to do this full time, I had people come out of the woodwork with boxes of stuff going, hey, I got all this stuff I've been saving for 20 years. Can you try and sell it? So a lot of my stuff is free or consignment, follows your consignment model, which I actually really love. I love that consignment model.
I
just wonder how selective you have to be with that. Do they turn a lot of people down? Nah, I can't sell that, or nah, I don't want to sell that, or do you just take it and put it in a box?
So you mean people consigning with you?
Yes.
Great question. So I think the consignment models that I reviewed last night, both those stores that do 100,000 a month, they both have a rule of $100 or more average sale price. Otherwise, they donate it unless it is a part of a massive lot that you're taking care of somebody. So somebody sends you 60 items worth $5,000, then you help that person sell $40 items and get the money. Because otherwise, what they do is a suit where I live, it's at a thrift shop. They sell them for $10 to $20. You can get a $10 or $20 write-off without doing anything. So if the item is under $100, they just take a $10 or $20 and give it to the client, or the client can just get their own write-off. But if it's over 100 and they're going to get more, then they pay more. Also, the more expensive the stuff, the better a deal you give the person. So if for example, you help somebody sell $10,000 Rolex, you're not going to charge them $3,000. Not going to sell it with you. You know, you might take $500. That might be worth it for them to have you do the work instead of them. But it just depends. Consignment is really cool. And the higher end stuff, though, you can't charge the flat percentage, in my opinion, because
the people that I have worked consignment with so far are also quote unquote friends. And they have brought me some things that I have found to be pretty expensive. What I tell them is eBay's standard recommended consignment fee is 40%, and that should include your time and fees, which I don't agree with. I think it's a little low, but however, if you bring me a box of Disney books and they've never been seen before, you think they're worth $20 and I find out they're worth $1 million, I'm not going to give you your percentage and keep the rest. You're my friend. We're going to come up with an equitable split.
Yeah,
because I don't feel it's fair, me walking around with a pocket full of your money just because you didn't know what you had.
No, that's the
game,
thing,
obviously, because it's part of the game, but they're also your friends and people and it's a way to build a reputation. You build a reputation as well. This guy takes your stuff and gives you what he says he's going to give you, but he keeps everything else and he rips you off. You're not going to get anybody wanting you to sell anything for him. I just prefer to make what I need to make a little over the top to keep things going and everything, and then keep on moving, man. I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody or become a multi-millionaire on the quick sale. I would rather do it, slowly in the proper way versus taking advantage of people. Now, if I buy all your items and you walk away and say, I don't want anything else, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, no, it's like somebody in the chat put the worst flips are family and friends. I 100% agree with that. I just try and buy it from them. Of course, let's say you I bought a Mont Blanc from my friend for $80 and it sold for 800. So I gave him more money because that's ridiculous. Like that doesn't, it just was an unusual piece. So you can hook but you're not, in my opinion, you're not obligated to do that because you already came up with the price before, but you should take them at least out to a nice dinner because that happens sometimes. Zahir, can you, we can't see you, but maybe we can hear you. Oh, there you are. Live from the eBay lab. I love it.
Love that picture setup. Still got to figure out my permanent space for that.
Zahir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Oh, we can hear you. You sound great.
Super.
Another
I don't know if you
YouTuber.
can see. How
And
are you?
you are in the lab.
I'm at home at the moment. Yeah, I'm at home at the moment.
I love it.
Yeah. I can't see or hear anyone else. Is that?
Oh, on the bottom left, there is a caret and you can select a speaker. Let's see.
Okay. Same as, I don't know. Chat. Oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. Participants are fine.
Let's see. That's
I
another.
can see all the participants.
Let me see. I'll have it.
Yeah. I've never used this. So, Zoom group chat.
Is there like a file exchange or something?
Now I can. Now I can see Dwayne. Hi, Dwayne.
I can't say your name, man, but hey, how are you?
There is a file exchange.
I just wanted to get Jessica and then my info so we can chat about those cameras later?
Yeah, you can chat privately on the chat in Zoom. You can exchange emails.
Wow. Okay.
Here, I'm gonna put my email in there for you.
Let me see here. So here, hopefully can see this in the chat.
Oh God, no. Sorry about that.
No, take your time, Zahir. Let's see.
I'm just sorting myself out. Okay, chat. Yeah, I have got no clue how to use this thing. All right, I can see participants.
I just muted Zahir for a second while he figures it out.
Now, I know I've asked everybody this, and Chris was the only one to answer me yesterday, so I'm going to kind of ask again. Does anybody use a shipping program to do their shipping, like ShipStation or Stamps.com? I know you use Pirate Ship, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. And that's another backup for Jessica. You guys had a problem with bulk shipping. Pirate Ship also has bulk shipping. So that's it's nice having more than one way of shipping things because yeah.
We had already purchased the labels through eBay, so like it wasn't like an easy fix. Like we had paid for it, all the labels were generated, but it didn't communicate. So that was the downfall, or else I would have used Pirate Ship. But also going back and voiding 48 labels, it was like 200 something bucks. It's like, it's not worth my time to go back and manually void that and then wait 3 weeks to get my money back.
Oh, that's yeah, purchasing the labels through eBay. That sucks. At least 3 weeks, and you have to go back and figure out they actually refunded you. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I'm just glad it was him and not me. He handled it a lot better than I would have.
Some services offer the refunds instantaneously. I don't know which ones, but there are some shipping companies that offer it right away. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Let me see if
Jessica, I just sent you an email with my information.
Zahir, can you hear us yet?
And see you and everything fine.
It's all working?
Yeah. So I can see the chat as well. So super.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, tell us about you. What do you sell? Where do you live?
Yeah, okay. We live in the UK and in the northwest of England. Me and my wife, we moved up here about 4 years ago now with like a dream of doing the whole husband and wife working together, reselling dream. And we've been finding out slowly and painfully when you jump in head first that it's not easy, as you've said many times. We've had to make a number of changes to our businesses as time's gone on. So like our business as time's gone on, we started selling general stuff like a lot of people, from charity shops, auctions, car boot sales, thrift stores as you'd call them as well. And then we got into buying bigger and bigger hauls. And a couple of years ago now, 2 years ago, we came across this amazing opportunity where there was a massive chain hobby store closing down, and we were able to buy a massive amount of stock, and that completely changed the direction of our business. That's what I was typing in the chat, that we thought we'd stumbled across what was going to be our core business, and it's been working. It's been working really well until this year, when it's hit us like a ton of bricks. Where as resellers, you're used to not exponential growth, but you're used to growth, because when you start from nothing, it's easy to go from 0 to 20,000. It's easy to go from 20 to 30 the year after, and then we did that. And this year is the first year where we're actually down on previous year, and we're dealing with that culture shock. My wife's gone and got a part-time job as well, so we're not in an ideal situation, which makes it interesting to listen to these conversations with different businesses in different situations.
That's a really, really good point. I think earning £2,000 to £5,000 or dollars is very doable, running it from home. But when you start scaling, everything breaks. Sometimes your setbacks don't work. And the thing that I've noticed the most is when, like maybe a year and a half ago, when I used to be 10K on the Bay. When I realized it's not stable to only sell on eBay, my whole reselling career changed. I just felt I was so stressed out only being on eBay. because sometimes the traffic is variable. You'll see like night, good day, good day, good day. Then a whole week will go by and things will be off. And then you don't know what you did to make eBay mad. You have to go back and figure it out. And then your income stops. So yeah.
It's almost as if it teaches you a lesson. I mean, this year we thought we started off very strong. We finished the last year really strong, and the beginning of this year, the first couple of months were really strong. So strong that we thought, let's take one giant investment, and we got ourselves an office space. And obviously, that's an extra expense. We got all this stuff out of here. This is our conservatory at home, and we used to have crates and crates of stock, and we moved it all out, and we were really excited, and we worked very hard when we got the office space. But it was almost like getting the office space coincided with our sales slowly just declining and declining, which was really disheartening because we were doing more work. We'd increased our inventory. We've got currently about 1,600 different RC parts. In terms of quantity, it's over 8,000, 8,000 units. And we were doing really well. And then it's just gone to a situation now where we're actually going to be trying to we're getting out of the office again, going to be moving it back home and resetting.
One thing I think it was Chris that said it, that's been probably one of the biggest helps to me is I am constantly running out of space, shifting stuff around, redoing inventory to get everything to fit because I don't want to grow any further out at the moment. And one of the things Chris said is if you're not constantly revising your systems and changing things, you're not really doing it right, which to me was almost like an inspirational sentence, because after redoing your space 10 times in a month, you start getting frustrated and going, this has got to end somewhere. I'm spending as much time redoing space as I am selling stuff. But then I hear Chris and Steve talking, and Chris goes, well, yeah, if you're not upgrading and you're not streamlining and moving on a constant basis, you're not really going anywhere. And once he said that, I said, well, yeah, I feel better about what I'm having.
I think I've definitely I'm definitely guilty of that, Dwayne, definitely. I mean, there's a guy in the chat, Shazad, who I also am lucky enough to talk to, and he's constantly, he's constantly checking at his listings, and he's on a completely different planet as far as business goes to me.
He does crazy volume, yeah.
Oh, he's insane. But the mindset, like he monitors his listings like a hawk. He doesn't sit on his laurels, and I think that's what caught us out. I think I've said it already like twice since being on the chat. Like we thought we had found our niche. We thought we'd found that was it. We got this amazing lot of stock, because often as resellers we're always looking for that mother load, as it were, and we thought we'd found it. We thought we'd just list through it, and sales are just going to go up the more we list, and that's it, right? That's how it works.
Yep. I know,
but there is more to it.
And then you find 10 things out of 1,000 lots that sell, and the other 990 things you've got to find a place for. And you buy another one, and you got another 990 things to start finding places for again. It's a never-ending process. It really is. I mean, but I really enjoy it. I love doing what I've worked my way into doing. And I mean, I owe Chris and Steve an enormous amount of appreciation for the help that they've given me. And a lot of people will disagree with this, but I also owe the eBay customer service and sales associates a lot of kudos for their help. I mean, if they hadn't been there to answer questions I had because I didn't have any resellers to talk to and to bounce ideas off of, I probably would still have already gotten frustrated and started something else. Those guys, I have come across 2 or 3 that didn't know their business, but the majority of them are point on. Their ideas are point on. They're sellers, and some of the little tips and tricks they give you go a long, long way in helping what you're doing. I don't feel like they get enough praise for what they do. They've gotten such a bad rap for the way they were when Amazon got started and they didn't have customer service, but they have come a long way. And eBay, without those people answering the phones, wouldn't exist. Hopefully they will realize that, because from what I've learn of the
Oh,
if they don't appreciate them as much as they should.
I have to address a couple of things in the chat about eBay should hire resellers. eBay has lots of resellers that work for them, huge resellers, like $1 million a month resellers that work for them, consulting. They fly people in all the time. They know it's just that eBay is a fee platform, so they have to make fee. Their number one goal is getting fees, and then stockholders is like their priority. Sellers are not the priority because there's already a billion listings on eBay. They need buyers. They're like, helping sellers is not like their main priority, and that's okay. They trust me. They actually have a customer service number. Amazon doesn't. Like, they do care about sellers. It's just that they have to balance making money, and the listing fee is eBay's number one money maker, because you pay whether or not the item sells. Right? We're buying a piece of real estate on eBay's platform that may never be seen if you're not doing it the way they want you to, right? And then, but that Highline Road, Shazad had mentioned that he's going to be on eBay's homepage during Black Friday. They do that. So like, they'll call you and be like, do you have 20,000 units ready? Because you're going to sell 20,000 units in an hour. Are you prepared? Show us where you got the inventory. It's complicated. They don't let everyone have the traffic. Like, eBay is also mostly brand new stuff. If you look at the forums, the people who are complaining are all pre-owned stuff, because, the thing is, if you were eBay, you would optimize the stuff that sells thousands of times a day. You wouldn't optimize the stuff that sells one time every 4 months. That's not how it works. And I've been there dozens of times. They're concerned with companies like Wish. They don't care about Poshmark or TradeZ or Mercari or Depop, because these sites are mainly pre-owned. The brand new sites are the ones eBay is worried about.
I see what their line of thinking is, but I mean, to me, it makes sense. They've got the market as far as used items, antiques, that sort of thing. Why try looking in or focusing on a direction where you're not already commanding your products? Why not focus on the where you're making your money at, basically, instead of doing what they're doing, which is sending us an extra bill every time we look sideways and don't pay attention to what they're sending us, and trying to go off with some, we want to sell newer products, or we want to sell this or that. Why even go? I know they want to compete with Amazon, but why even go after that? Why not go after their own market and make their own market better?
Because their market is the same as the Amazon market. It's not pre-owned. If it was, they would focus more on that. They're not dumb. Like, most of eBay is new.
Oh yeah, of course they're not dumb. They make, was it $287 billion a year?
I'm just saying that they're focusing on the new because that's what makes them the money. That's what pays the bills.
I feel the other thing is, whereas before you could have that list it and forget it mentality where you could just wait for the correct buyer, they're obviously pushing away from that. I think that, and the thing is, that doesn't mean that you can't sell used anymore, but you can see a lot of successful sellers who mainly sell used are very good at choosing what's popular. And if you needed any kind of proof of how much eBay want you to do this, is the fact that they're providing you with a tool like Terapeak. I mean, Shazad has already used it to devastating effect, and even someone as low down the food chain as me can see how powerful that tool is, whether you're looking at used or new. The fact that it gives you the kind of data that it gives you shows that even if you're buying used, you should pretty much be checking out Terapeak before you buy something, if you want to keep that fast moving store. And clearly that's what they want. Whereas and it's quite a recent change, I guess, because we were doing just fine for the past year or two, and we've been affected heavily this year. And funnily enough, it kind of got us back into thrifting again. And again, when we pick up stuff that's in demand, it still sells. People that are selling in demand stuff are not on YouTube complaining about eBay being slow. It's sellers like me that are complaining because we've got slow stuff, slow selling lines. Whereas the fast moving lines are selling. You put a fast moving line up there today, whether it's new or used is irrelevant. It's going to sell.
That's a great point. No one says I can't sell these Nintendo products. ever. No one's ever said that. They sell
Just
really
piling
fast.
these
Always.
SNESs are just piling up, just
So here's another tip that reminded me of this. So because we're in the market of this goes along this line. As resellers, we have to pass on profitable items with no verifiable sales history. It's very important. Just because it's profitable doesn't mean you should buy it. If you can't prove it's going to sell quickly, you just it's like an investment vehicle where you can't get your money out, like the Bernie Sanders. Or it's scary. So I would much rather you buy an item that's going to sell quickly, even if you break even, to learn, because people who sell things quickly usually progress faster. Like Shazad has a very fast sell through. I think it's under 30 days. And that if sellers who learned that part of it, learning what's trending on Terapeak, and then they find it, they'll move that model. Let's see. I do think that they are going to move to pay-per-click. That makes sense. But that eventually happens to all platforms. Eventually, I feel like Poshmark will open up the doors to business sellers, and that makes it. Business sellers want ways to control traffic. Yeah, rate of sale, very important. Yeah, the family flips. You guys have a really fast sell through.
Those are some of the things I'm in here to try and learn more about too, Chris, is moving items. And one of my biggest things is I seem to fall in love with everything that I buy and think it's worth way more than it is, or price it higher than everybody else and sit on it. And I have got to force myself to learn to drop the damn price down where it's going to sell and just get rid of it and keep moving. Something else will come along that I like, and I'll have another something I like I can buy and sell. Mm-hmm. I'm having such the difficult time just letting myself do that, as opposed to buying it, letting it sit there, and fine, when they want it, they'll buy it, because they will buy it eventually. I have sold stuff I thought would never sell, and it's sold prior to stuff I thought would fly off the shelf. And especially selling my own things. I had a pile of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's all junk. I'll put that up later. Let me put this almost brand new stereo receiver up, because this is going to sell right away. Put the stereo receiver up. 6 months later, it's still sitting there. Finally get tired of it and put that pile of junk up. All junk's all gone. It all sold 3 days after you put it up. Stereo's still sitting there. And
yeah, hold on one second, Dwayne, because I'm gonna lose my train of thought with Jessica.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. When you lose your emotional attachment and you move towards more like high turn items, usually don't have emotion. Like Jessica and Joe, you guys aren't emotionally attached to GPS system.
It's not a hobby for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a hobby.
You get emotionally invested in hobbies.
Well, I think really it comes down to like, well, I had a train of thought.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I had a train of thought and then I lost it.
I stole it. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's a mindset thing. I think that, what's more important, the thing that you're selling, or the success of your business. And when it becomes more about the business, then you're going to do what you can to get that cash flow going, because if the cash flow is going, then you're making money, then you're forward motion. So, for us, a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, we could sell this for this much, or we can, keep the cash flow going so we can keep moving. And for us, the priority is forward motion.
And some of mine is old school business mentality as well. I owned a service business, a locksmith business, for 30 years, and you've kind of got a captive audience there. You go to work on somebody's locks at their house, you're going to sell them locks if their locks are broken. It's a no brainer, and you're going to get what you want because you're standing right there, unless they're wanting to leave their house unlocked and run to Home Depot to buy a door lock, which most people where I'm at wouldn't do. Versus this, where there's a certain markup. You get that specific amount of markup every time you sell something, or at least you try to, unless something's on sale. Whereas in this, you can buy something one day for 50 cents, buy the same item tomorrow for $2.
The majority of shoppers on eBay are impulse buyers. they don't spend a lot of time on the platform. So they're not going to be doing a lot of research and trying to price comps and this. They're going to find the cheapest item that they can find for that item that they're looking for, and then they're going to buy it and they're going to be done. Whether your item is $5 more, you're probably going to lose a sale over $5. Hobbyist resellers, they focus so much on the what if I could make this much. Like, yeah, you may sell it in 6 months, but guess what? I've done sold my $10 profit item 100 times by the time it took you to sell your potential $50 profit, and I've done made $500 more than you. I think it's just a transition that hobbyist resellers have to make into really being a real entrepreneur, is quit falling in love with the potential, because it's just potential. Like, I want the cold hard cash in my bank account.
That's incredible advice.
Potential doesn't buy more inventory.
Yep.
Sold items do.
A slogan to put up that I see when I wake up every morning, to ask myself, do you want to be a hobbyist reseller, or do you want to make money and pay your bills? And use that to motivate and get going, man. I really appreciate your terms there. That
most resellers in Facebook, they complain they don't have cash flow, right? So they're stuck buying these items that have potential that sit on the shelf for 5 months. And it's a mindset. Like, it's just a mindset you have to switch.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having an item that's really long tail that has great profit potential. I'm just saying, if that is all you have, then you're stagnant. You gotta find some quick flips. You gotta find some things, and those items, like for us, it's, a lot of what we do with consumer electronics, like we're gonna sell them for how they sell. However, and we do have some long tail items that are sitting on our shelves that are going to make us a lot of money. But really and truthfully, what's paying our bills and what's making us a successful business are these $10 profit items that we're not penny pinching on. We're trying to get them out the door. We're trying to get moving.
That's a good way to look at it. And I definitely want to move forward from being a hobbyist reseller to making the money to pay the bills. That was the whole point in the first place.
I'm going to call it, because we're going a little bit over on time, but I do want to put as the takeaway from today's call is that researching solds and sales trends is the number one skill you can have as a reseller. Because if you know what's selling well, then it's just being persistent and figuring out where to get it. Because the part of, you already have the buyer, so you've solved half the equation if you know what to buy. So, and there's always an emotional hit that you get when you buy something. It's like a retail therapy. But a lot of the most successful resellers I know, and as I become more seasoned, I feel like I am more emotionally calm. So, you meet, when I went to that last eBay meeting and I met a guy with $7,000 a day in returns, he seemed very happy. But $7,000 in returns is a lot. That's a lot of stress. Like, you would think, but he's like, that's just part of being a big time seller. All right, everyone have a good one. I'll see you guys tonight or tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.